Now let's talk about how to use the Hydra sequencer in sequence mode. We have two options for programming sequences. There's the field programming option, which requires no additional hardware, or the advanced programming mode, which requires a computer. In this video, we will focus on the field programming mode. Let's review the programming controls. We have a bank selector, a program switch, and a fast-low range switch, and a rotary switch. The way that we program this in the field is by selecting time steps for each of the three banks. We then save these values in the internal memory. I'm going to start by powering up the unit. The blue sequence light will come on, extinguish, and then come on again a second time. When it comes on for the second time, I'm going to press and hold the program button. I continue holding the button until I see the bank lights flash. Okay, now I'm going to choose which bank I want to program. I'm going to select the top bank, or I could select the middle bank, or the bottom bank. Let's start with the top bank. Now I'm going to choose my desired time step. On the inside cover of the Hydra sequencer, you will find a table with all the time steps printed. I am currently in A fast, which is 0.05 seconds. So let's go ahead and program that for bank 1. Notice that the LED is extinguished. That tells me that it's been successfully saved to the internal memory. Now before we go any further, I'd like to take a moment to discuss the sequence step switch and how it impacts programming. Notice that we're currently in step mode. When you are programming, this means that you will save a -1 value between Q6 and Q7. That means one input pulse will fire a sequence of 6 Qs, and then wait for another input pulse before firing the next sequence of 6 Qs. If I want one input to fire all Qs, then I need to program it with a mode switch in the sequence position. So we'll do two different demonstrations. One where I leave this in sequence mode, and one where I leave it in step mode. So let's do the sequence mode first. I'm currently in sequence mode. I'm going to do 0.05 seconds. I program it, it's saved. Bank 2, let's choose C, which is 0.15 seconds on fast. I program that. Then let's do A on slow, which is 1.25 seconds. I select the bottom bank. I've selected my time step, now I program it. Now I'm all ready to go. I'm currently in sequence mode. The sequence LED is illuminated. The system is in continuity check mode because I am disarmed. Again, notice the green continuity LEDs are lit up, and I'm ready to arm the system. So I turn the key switch 90 degrees. The system is now armed and waiting for an input pulse. Again, I have two 9-volt batteries and this little push button switch to imitate the input pulse from a firing system. I'm going to go ahead and press this button and watch the sequence run. So here we go. Okay, so that was the entire sequence from one input pulse. Notice that additional input pulses will fire the output. This allows you to daisy chain multiple systems together. Let's try programming it again. This time we're going to use a value of -1 between Qs 6 and 7, between Qs 12 and 13, and between the last Q and the output pulse, and see how that changes. Let's disarm the system by turning off the key switch and then turning off the power. Power is on. And again, I'm going to hold the program button until the bank LEDs flash 3 times. We're now ready to program. My mode switch is in step mode, which means I'll be storing a value of -1 between Q6 and Q7. Let's go ahead and choose 0.05 seconds for the first bank. I program it and move to the second bank. I'll choose 0.15 seconds and program it. Finally, let's choose a third bank and go to the slow range, which is now 1.25 seconds. I program it, and now we're all set. Again, we're disarmed, so it's performing a continuity check, and the green LEDs are lit up. Now we can go ahead and arm the system by turning the key switch 90 degrees. The system is now armed. Notice that I have moved the mode switch from step into sequence mode. The sequence LED is now lit up and it's waiting for an input pulse. Let's go ahead and give it an input and see what happens. That's the first sequence, followed by the second sequence, and the third sequence. Notice that this time it required 3 input pulses to fire all 18 cues. Again, additional input pulses will generate an output pulse for use with other sequencers. So that's how you can program sequences in the field. Next, we'll go over how to use the advanced programming method to do arbitrary sequences down to 0.001 seconds. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact us.